I cast Curse of Manual Blinking, Curse of Manual Breathing. I cast the forbidding curse of feeling your clothing on your skin. I release you. Fear not. The effects will dissipate quickly. The mind is a powerful thing, and the brain is an impressionable organ. That is why understanding how it can be controlled by external forces is necessary to understand how to protect your brain when it needs some much neglected sleep. I have a super heavy, time investment heavy method that is extremely time consuming, but it will definitely help keep you asleep and you'll get high quality sleep. I also have a low investment, like if you're too lazy to do anything that's hard, this is kind of like a not maximizing approach to sleep, but I also think it's something that you should know and is super effective. Also, I have a third option that is like a high risk, high reward sleep method that it will help you go to sleep, but it requires serious self-discipline to actually use. And first, I know I have to say the usual garbage, so stick with me. No caffeine after 3 p.m. Read and shower before bed. Go to sleep and wake up at the same time. Make sure you avoid blue light and technology at least an hour before bedtime. Don't work in bed. Bed is for sleep and sexy time. Put your alarm out of reach so you have to go get it when you wake up. Set a morning routine and a consistent night routine that will help your brain relax during those times. Take melatonin. See a doctor if you have any potential health issues or interventions necessary for better sleep. You get it? Yeah, I'm sure you've heard most of these before, and maybe you're thinking, well, I haven't really consistently tried these things, and maybe that's the problem. It is true you should implement all of those things, see if they work, but the issue is I think it doesn't address the core reason why you don't get sleep. See, the problem, in my opinion, is that we have taken things that people do who get good sleep and then conflated it to say that if you do those things, you will get good sleep. There are people who wake up on time and go to sleep on command, and you're just not one of those people, but I don't think you want to be. There are these NPCs that wander around life and just go to sleep and have an easy time at it. But see, us bad sleep people, we kind of have this weird relationship with sleep where, like, yeah, we hate feeling tired, but I think we also blame it and kind of resent it as being the reason why we're not as successful in life or as productive or as happy as we want to be. Oh, something got in my eye. I could be more successful if I wasn't tired. I could get better grades. Heck, I could get a job in the first place. This mindset places enormous pressure and expectations, which oddly enough, I think is the basis for why we don't get good sleep. So before moving on to like a method or a technique, I think you have to start addressing the first floor basis issue. At least for me, letting go of the guilt and judgment around sleep was like really important. We can create the right conditions for sleep, but I don't think you can actually like learn how to go to sleep. Sleep is a gift from you to you, and if you get it, great. But if you don't, well, I'd just try again later. It's fine. It's not your fault. You're way too cool to let sleep or lack thereof stop you, and I genuinely believe that. I also believe that you, like me, have a rapid-fire mind, and it's just going at all the times that are probably the worst appropriate times for it to be just absolutely popping off, and it's gonna happen when you probably at least want it to. So let's say you know all the things I just talked about and you've tried implementing them or you're starting to implement them. First technique is the most bang for your buck, but it's also the most time investment. Step one is feel yourself. See, you need to invite sleep. You need to entice sleep with some drowsy foreplay. About 30 minutes to an hour before you want to go to bed, it's important to start seducing sleep with some stuff like stretching. I've been doing this like myofascial release with a stick, or doing some sort of yoga. A soft suggestion, I'm not a yogi, but a kind of yoga that I found on the internet that you can follow along is something called Yoga Nidra, which I think just translates to yoga sleep. This kind of meditative pre-sleep has like benefits for you the next day, and that's really cool. It's kind of like in a video game when you get a well-rested buff, like the next following day you have a 10% buff to whatever mental tasks you're trying to complete. Maybe this is just like teaching you how to control your thoughts or your mind, and that's where it comes from. I really don't know. I'm just telling you things that have worked for me. But like objectively, how do I personally do like a yoga practice beforehand? Yoga, I'm using that loosely. I usually just like find something on YouTube. Maybe I'll put it up somewhere, like a follow along that I kind of do. Something that isn't really discussed on like yoga nidra content is like, what do you do after you've completed the exercise or completed the stretch? When you've done the thing to cool off, what do you do after? Well, Well, I start talking to someone. And I don't mean like literally speaking to someone. I mean I have like a mental conversation with someone that I find interesting, or an imaginary person I wish I could meet. I'll talk to Joe Rogan, I'll talk to professors, I'll talk to students who are listening to me. And what I do in my mind is I start explaining mundane things that I like. I don't really talk about things that like genuinely excite me to my core, but just experiencing the joy of daydreaming about a version of myself I want to be in the future is calming. Spending the rest of my time just telling stories to this imaginary person calms me down to enough that I'm just like starting the sleep cycle in my brain, and then it just follows along until I'm actually asleep, and I just carry that into sleep mode. Now this whole process takes me like an hour. It can even take you longer than an hour if you're really like feeling it. But what do you do if you don't have a whole lot of time? You want to like go to sleep, but you probably have less than 30 minutes, maybe less than 15 minutes, and you're like, I gotta go to sleep right now. Well, I have a way to combine these methods and get to where you're wanting to go fast. I'm not sure if this is like a real strategy. Again, a lot of this is just stuff I've kind of said works for me. I don't know what the psychology says. I don't know what the data says, and there's a chance that this could be wrong and hurtful, but it's really changed my sleep hygiene. So I deem this next method the moderate option. You need to do all the normal stuff for like getting ready for bed, always brush your teeth, but we skip the slumber foreplay part. We skip the teasing and go straight into the raw dog our way into forcing our brain to shut off. So what is it? Well, you know when you're a kid or you see a kid and they're like super hyper, and how do you get them to stop? You use the run boy run method, and that eventually just like tuckers them out. I kind of treat my mind like a hyperactive kid and just try and tire it out. So I have this like mental game. I never like formally explained it to anyone, but it's something that I naturally do that helps me eventually fall asleep. What I do is I think of unrelated topics and like unrelated words or categories or things, and try and find like two things that have no connection to each other. And part of the joy of this is like I'm kind of like annoying, so I can always find a way to
say, well, these two things are connected and la 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 la.
If it's really bad, like you actually can think of something easily, then it's no good, and try and find a different word. Just keep going. But yes, technically everything has a connection, but it needs to be more like a categorical connection and a realistic connection. So like I'll give you an example. Quantum giraffe. You could say that quantum physics is applicable to giraffes. Or if I say volcano, algorithm. Well, volcanoes follow nature's algorithms and for the conditions when they erupt. Stop, you're annoying, no one likes that. They have to be connections that don't require a master's degree to understand. Pretend you're playing this game with a 6-year-old and you just can't explain every little thing like that. It has to be readily apparent. For example, panda, bamboo, no good. Panda, oak tree, probably fine. I don't know a lot about pandas and if they like oak trees. Maybe there's a connection. But again, if it's like a master's degree level connection, don't worry about it. So in practice, I can give an example that actually works. Parachute, molecule. Tornado, basketball. Origami, eclipse. Does that make sense? Yes, you can find connections in these things, but it's just a game, and don't think too hard about it. In fact, the point of this is to think hard about it, but in a way that doesn't like get you all riled up. And part of the focus here is literally to refocus your brain when it starts to wander on like the stupid stuff. Now this can take some time, not as much time as the other things, but I found I still fall asleep within 30 minutes of starting this game, maybe because I just get bored and dreaming is more fun. But what do you do if you really need to force yourself to go to sleep? Like you don't care about the quality of it, and you could take like a Benadryl or something if you don't mind sleeping with the shadow people watching. But I have a better method, a better place to hang out in mentally. It's kind of a forbidden method that is high risk, but potentially extremely high reward. See, another like foundational thing to my sleep is I never really start going to sleep, or at least I never start the sleep process if I still feel negative energy of unfinished business when I lay down. When I lie down, technically. Usually, if I try and go to bed and I feel like there's something I need to do, or I'm anxious about something that needs to be done, that energy is going to rev me up and keep me out of bed. And I remember learning somewhere that people who don't have problems going to sleep are the type of people who are really productive in the first 4 hours of their morning, and the people who do struggle to go to sleep are less productive in those hours. So I kind of extrapolate that information and reverse it. If I can't be productive, or I wasn't as productive as I felt like I needed to be, which can be a problem in mindset in of itself, I still understand that I need to figure out how to accomplish something to calm my mind down. So my goal is just to accomplish something, anything, before I go to bed. It doesn't have to be what you're anxious about or what I'm anxious about, like studying for the exam tomorrow, but you can do something like read a chapter of a book. Can I wash the dishes? Can I complete anything? Can I do whatever it takes to at least minimize, mitigate, and push away the negative energy that will flood my brain the second I place my head on its feathery sanctuary? The core idea of this nuclear option is, like I said, pretty high risk. But see, I will try to not only be productive in the first 4 hours of my day anyway, I will also try to be productive in some degree in the last 4 hours of my day. I'm still using the sleep techniques I talk about and try to use, but sometimes I think my brain is telling me that it is not satisfied with what I did, and that's not really me saying that. And like an offering to a cruel god, I need tribute, an offering before I'm allowed to partake in slumber. I need something that I can come to the brain and say, hey, yes, at least I did this, at least I did do that. We did good today. I don't use productivity to procrastinate, but I do try and do something that I can go to bed and thank myself for. The hard part is sometimes that requires getting back out of bed and finding a thing that will appease the mad god. Now, whatever you do, protect your sleep schedule at all costs. Do what you can with a mindset to protect your sleep, at least for long term. I'm not promoting short-term productivity boosts. But the reason why this is a potential problem is this nuclear option of productivity, doing something, then trying to go back to bed, is that it could potentially ruin your sleep schedule. If you don't plan properly, you don't use it sparingly, if you rely only on this, that could be a problem. You don't need a whole lot to show your consciousness that it was useful, but everything and everyone does is different, and it might just require like a little bit of laundry. I don't know what will make you okay. Just remember that this method can kind of exacerbate negative judgments about yourself, so focus on being proud of what you've done and what you did to accomplish it, not on what remains to be done. Just whatever is left on the plate is an opportunity to be proud of yourself tomorrow, and that's cool too. I actually have a video on toxic productivity I like a lot that should pop up somewhere that on the screen that kind of talks about that kind of content. Maybe it'll pop up at the end. I really don't know how end screens work. But something I'm personally starting and experimenting with on trying to how to protect my sleep schedule is journaling. Specifically journaling before bed. I was supposed to do it last night, but I forgot. I don't know how this will affect me, either my sleep or my mindset, but I plan to try a month from like today, which is like May 31st when I'm recording this and maybe getting the video out. I don't know, look at the description, it will tell you. But I plan to update you all on how that's going. I also have a Discord where I talk about like where I think we're all talking about what we're doing with our lives, getting the jobs of our dreams, education, just whatever comes to us. The link for that is in the description. But yeah, figuring out your sleep schedule is a work in progress, and it's something that you need to do to fit yourself. And to be honest, I think it's about finding the right mindset to sleep, the right conditions to sleep, not learning per se how to sleep. But I'll update you guys on the journaling adventure. Comment, subscribe, tell me the things that you do to go to sleep, and I will talk to you later.